everybody, it's Sandra here. Thank you for joining me live in the greenhouse this afternoon. It's so great to have you joining me. It's not such a great day in the greenhouse. It's a little cloudy and overcast, but you can't really complain. We got all these beautiful plants around us. So we're working away at all of our usual things for this time of year. I decided to talk to you today about vegetable gardening because, believe it or not, I've had some people already asking me questions about vegetable gardening. So if you're tuning in, I would love it if you'd give me a wave or a thumbs up just so I can see that you're watching. It's always fun to see when people have joined me. And I'm going to talk to you about a few things that I've done to help you with your vegetable gardening. I know it seems crazy early. It's January. What in the world is she doing talking about vegetable gardening? But I've put together some stuff so you can start planting. So one thing I put together is a vegetable planting guide, and I'm going to show you in a second where you can find that on our website. And what it does is it gives you a guide of what to plant when. I know there are a lot of first-time gardeners or new gardeners, maybe only been gardening for a year or two, that are deciding to put in vegetable gardens last year and this year because we've got more time to be at home right now. So trying to put together some helpful resources for you. And this basically just tells you, like I said, what to plant when, and what you can plant indoors and what you need to direct seed into your garden once the weather gets warmer. The long and the short of it is there's not much you can do yet except for plan. The earliest things that you can really start seeding would be onions and some herbs that take a long time to grow. Onions that are seed onions, okay? Not starter onions, Dutch sets, anything like that. Those you don't start indoors. Those go straight into your garden. But if you get onion seeds, those need to be started indoors early, like February. So like early. They grow really slow, and so you need to give them a good head start inside. So that's one of the few things that you can start thinking about planting in the coming few weeks. The only other thing that you could really think about planting right now, and this is a bit of an experiment, okay? I do this some years I skip it, it just depends, and this is just kind of a fun thing for me, but these are sweet potatoes. Because sweet potatoes actually grow, you put the potato in the soil, this is gonna root in the ground here, and then it's gonna send up shoots, and it's gonna start to look like a sweet potato vine that you would buy as an ornamental plant. It looks the same, leaves look the same. But then from there, what you do is you take cuttings off of this plant, and you root those, and if you plant them in your vegetable garden, you'll get sweet potatoes growing in your vegetable garden. But you have to start the tubers indoors, like in January. Probably, I think my dad says my grandma used to start them like earlier even than that. So she had these big, and she hung them in a hanging basket in her window, and it looked like a beautiful green foliage plant. So there's something, if you're really keen to get going, buy a sweet potato at the grocery store. Now, word of warning, it may or may not grow. Some sweet potatoes are treated to not sprout. So if you get one that's treated, it's not going to happen. But it's a fun little experiment either ways. I actually think I've always had luck in getting ones that sprout. They do take a while. So these have been in the ground for about 10 days, and they have absolutely no signs yet of doing anything. But I have faith that they will come. So we're going to keep watering them periodically. We're not going to water them too much until they start sprouting. We're just going to make sure there's some moisture in that soil and see what happens. It's a fun little experiment. If you've got some time and you want to try something different for gardening, give that a whirl. But other than that, what you really need to be doing this time of year is making notes and planning your garden if you want to do something gardening wise. One thing that I think is really important, and I've learned in the past that I always think I'm going to remember things and then I don't remember. I don't know if any of you ever do that, but I have to write things down, make notes. So one thing that's always really important to me to make sure I note is what didn't work in my garden last year. And an example of that for me was a few years ago, we planted our pepper plants quite close to our asparagus. Now, I have a large asparagus patch, and if you grow asparagus, you know that in the middle of the summer, they get really, really big. And they actually pretty much gave way too much shade to my pepper plants, and they almost like toppled over on top of them. So that was a little note to self. I can't put anything that needs much sunshine close to my asparagus because it just doesn't do well. There's not enough sunshine, the asparagus takes over. And so that was one note that I've learned. So now what I generally do is I put my colder early crops there. Like I'll put my lettuce and my spinach and stuff like that closer to my asparagus, at least my first crop of that, because by the time my asparagus is big, I'm already done harvesting all that stuff. It doesn't matter, and it's just kind of wasted space in my garden, and that's okay with me. So keep in mind some things like that. That's something that over years of time, you're just going to get better at that with practice. But along with that goes thinking about what you want to plant and where it goes with rotating your crops. So you don't want to, well, my advice is don't always plant the same spot with your tomatoes in it. You should move them around. You want to give your soil give a chance to replenish nutrients that different plants take out of it. So I would recommend that you don't, yeah, rotate your crops. In other words, and obviously in agriculture, farmers do that all the time, but think about doing that within your own vegetable garden as well. You'll have better luck if you don't always plant the same thing in the same spot. That's just a general rule of thumb. Okay, so that's one thing that you can be doing right now to think about planting for your garden. The other thing that you could do, especially if you've got little kids and you want to start seeding some stuff indoors, save the boxes that the clear boxes that your spinach and lettuce come in. Those are great little germinating trays for new seeds in the springtime. So they're usually about this big, and they have a plastic lid on them and everything. I would definitely save those if you at all can, and they make great little trays to plant seeds in. So that's a little tip for you. Other than that, the other thing that I wanted to mention to you about that came up in conversation that somebody else hadn't really thought about is when you go to plant your seeds in the garden or in your house, depending on what you're doing, if you're starting them early, think about succession planting. Just because you open your package of seeds doesn't mean it all has to get planted at one time. Think in terms of, it depends a little bit on what your purpose is. So I freeze green beans for my freezer. So I like to have a lot to do at one time. I don't want to freeze a bag of beans every 2 days. I want to do 20 bags in a day. So I plant a large crop of beans that I'm going to harvest all at once. Or at least that's the goal, is to harvest it all in a relatively short amount of time, freeze it all, put it away into my freezer. But I also like to eat green beans all summer long. So along with that one big planting, I'll also do several other small plantings, probably every 2 weeks or so. So you can do the same thing if you're starting your seedlings inside. If a package of lettuce is a lot of seeds of lettuce. If you plant that whole package of lettuce at one time, you better plan to have a big lettuce party, because there's going to be a large yield at one time. Whereas if you plant, a quarter or an eighth of the package at one time and then wait a couple weeks and plant more, you're going to have a nicer crop because you're going to be able to eat it as it comes mature. You don't want anything to get, bolt and go past and get nasty in your garden, and hopefully you can eat it in time. But then in order to do that, you need to plant it over a period of time instead of thinking about, okay, it's the long weekend in May, I got to plant my whole garden. Try to steer away from that. Think about planting, some for now and some for a little bit later. I think our last crop of beans, I can't even 100% remember. I think we planted it either the middle or the last week of July, which was really late. We've never planted beans that late. But this was it was warm this fall, and I think we were picking beans straight almost till October, which was really nice to have that fresh produce around. But we couldn't have done that if we'd have planted all of our beans in May. They would have been past and gross. So just keep that in mind. Something to think about this year when you're planting your garden, to maybe, space things out a little bit more and just not rush it. Okay. A couple other things I just wanted to mention. Now, I did tell you that we've got some things online. I'm going to show you that. We do have two kinds of, so just give me a second. I'm going to flip over to our website here. So your screen should follow with me. Hold on. Oh, there we go. There. Okay. So there's our website. And if you go here to our web store, you can see we have our hard goods and we also have our seeds all online. So you can browse through here. Some of the descriptions have some information. It's a lot of work to get all this online, so it's probably not as complete as it could be. The seeds that are all online right now are OSC seeds, as you can see here from the logo. So if you do want to look up some more information, they have a ton of information on their website about heat units, growing days, that sort of thing. So by all means, please use those resources. The other thing that I did want to mention is when you're looking at something, say like, let me just search here. I'm going to sort by name, A to Z. And I'm going to go to Royal Burgundy beans, just because I know we have these in 3 different sizes. So depending on whether you want to have just a regular packet, or we have a large pack, a medium packet, and we also have the jumbo size. So that's definitely an option. Make sure you check out those pull-down menus when you're looking at seeds. Also on our web store, we do have in our hard goods section, we have both potting soil and seeding mix. And I get asked fairly often, what's the difference between just a regular potting soil and the seeding mix? Essentially, seeding mix is just a finer formulation. It's like finer grains of soil, for lack of a better way to put it. And it really promotes those fine roots that new seedlings have to grow well. So if you're looking at planting new seeds or transplanting, seeding mix is probably the better way to go. The potting soil is just more of an all-purpose. It's what we use to plant all of our bedding plants, all of our house plants, etc. So that is certainly a good option as well. But if you're starting new seeds, you're going to want to look more towards the seeding mix. The other thing I did want to show you here is under our information tab, this is where I put our gardening guide. So if you click here, this is the online version, but you can also click on this little button here. It's going to look a little different if you happen to be on a phone or a tablet, but essentially what that does is it opens up a PDF version that you can print off for your own use, whether either to hang on the fridge or put in your journal, whatever you want to have with it. But again, like I said, it tells you exactly when to plant all your different things. So the first column here talks about what you can seed indoors. If there's an X, that means you shouldn't seed it indoors. You should just wait and be a little more patient and put it right in the garden. So there's some things, I mean, it's not that you can't seed your beets inside, but you really don't need to. You can just direct seed those. Same thing with cucumbers. You can direct seed those. And the other thing I just wanted to show you here, maybe that was it. It's showing you here when you should plant it indoors. This is when you should plant it if you're planting it outside. Whether that's, so if it says here mid-March you can seed it indoors, that means you can transplant those seedlings outside in late April. If you want to direct seed, you can do that as well. You're just going to have a later crop. So there's lots of different ways to garden. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to plant things inside if you don't want to, but you certainly can. Now let me see if I can get back there. There, now I'm back. So that's just to show you a couple little things on our website that we have. The other thing I was going to tell you, I'm going to be putting on our website shortly, hopefully today yet, primula. Our primula are starting to come into flower, and they're so nice. They smell so good. They would look fantastic on your kitchen counter, I'm quite certain. So I'm going to put those online very shortly. And the other thing I did want to mention is we do still have some of our kids propagating kits left. So if you didn't see my videos last week, I don't know if you can see that, we made these little propagating kits for kids where they can either propagate a spider plant or an inch plant, and I put videos together about how to do that, and the kits are free. We were hoping that we could get some school-age kids growing some plants, so we have some of those left. They're going to be on the website for the rest of this week, and then they're going to be taken down. So if you know any school-age kids who would like to grow a plant, please send them our way, or you can order the kit for them and pick it up at our curbside pickup at our retail location. Now, I'm just going to look at my notes here, see if there's anything else. Oh, the other thing is we are going to be getting in growing trays. We're getting more supplies. I thought we were going to get a load of stuff this week, hasn't arrived yet. So hopefully early next week I'll have a bunch more stuff to put online. And other than that, oh, and we're getting West Coast seeds in this year. I'm super excited about that. It's another line of seeds. They're actually based out of British Columbia. Family-owned business. If you have a minute, check out their website, West Coast Seeds. We're going to be getting some of those in, so that's kind of exciting. And I think with that, we're going to have microgreen kits, if you like growing microgreens, and sprouting kits. So that should also be fun. And other than that, I'm going to be trying to do videos every week. So if you have any questions or anything you want to know about, please either comment in my videos or drop me an email or a Facebook message, and I'm going to try to answer everybody's questions. And if you happen to be joining me during the live stream, by all means, shoot me a question. I can see it on my screen when somebody comments. So that's awesome. Thanks for joining me today, Kathy. It's been good to have you along. And yeah, I can see your questions if you post them, and I'll do my best to answer them within the live video. If I don't get to it during the live video, then I will definitely answer you afterwards in the comments and add it to another video lineup I have coming. And other than that, folks, I hope you have a great Thursday and stay safe and stay warm. It sounds like we might be getting some more winter weather coming our way soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.